So we are going to be covering a roadmap to 150 clients. So if you don't want 150 clients, this will still be relevant, but I'll kick it off with reasons why 150. I know most of you know kind of context of where I speak from, but I do know some new to me faces are in here as well. But just for context before I get into presentation, for 12 years I ran a gym that for the majority of those years were 300 to 400 clients. And we're, as we speak, building out a second location that will have a max of 125 clients. It would have been 150 if I could have obtained a little bit more square footage, but in short, I think I have an interesting perspective in that I've done the big gym, relatively speaking, to the training gym world. And now coming in, doing the smaller gym, and also having the fortune of watching Project 500 in boardroom. Most of our boardroom folks all of them have 150 clients, and most of them have more than 150 clients. In fact, we have guys that have 250, 300. And there's a lot of problems that come with that. That, in my opinion, if they could do it all over again and sitting in this room, I don't know if they'd do it again. So there's a lot of reasons of why I push 150 in a training gym. And the core reason is it's manageable in a small footprint. So with 150 clients, you don't need more than 2,400 square feet. You can do this in 1,400 to 2,400 square feet. I'm going to try to squeeze it into, I think our square footage is technically 1,457. So if you look at things that businesses outside of fitness that scale, there are very few brick and mortar that are larger than 2,400. If you look at all of your, what are right now big franchises outside of fitness, think of like your fast casuals and all of those kind of franchises that have taken off. They're all small footprint. So I'm not saying this because you want to particularly franchise or anything like that. It's just, it's proven that we can generate just as much benefit from a small footprint as we can a large footprint. For context, my goal is to have this, our second location, net me the same amount as our large location did. And it just simply due to less overhead and even though it'll be half the amount of revenue. So it's a manageable amount of footprint. How many, for those of you that do have brick and mortar, are between that range? Just so I have context. How many of you are above that? And anybody below? Okay. Cool. So again, I don't want to make this about 150. I think the strategy to get 150 it's all growth strategies that I'm going to talk about. So whether you want to grow from 50 to 100 or from 5 to 10, it's all growth strategies, but just understand that I'm building it around that 150 and there are choices you make that are specific to that. A big one, and this is more relevant as you grow, is your churn rate is fairly, I don't say easily replaceable, but your churn rate's replaceable. So your churn rate, for those of you that don't know, is the percentage of people that leave your business every single month. And for most brick and mortar training gyms, we strive for 4%. It used to be 3%. 3%'s become pretty unmanageable as far as an expectation. So 4% churn, which means if you have 100 clients, 4 people are going to leave. To go get 5 clients it's it's pretty easy, to get 5 people, right? All of you, if you implement what I cover you today, can go get 5 clients next week. It's a proven framework. So if all of a sudden you have 200 people, 250 people, and you have this goal of having this big grand gym, like I had, when I sold our first location, which I'm now back in on, but when I sold it to Josh, an average month for us was 15 to 20 people leaving. So just to break even, we had to sign up 20 people. Which, if you guys know, that's the shitload of people every month to try to have to replace. So, and it's stressful, right? So I think figuring out how we can get the benefit of this in a small footprint, in a small location, but also when you net 5 or 8 people in a month, you're actually positive growth. That's the big thing with your churn, okay? The other thing is this lovely thing called the Dunbar effect. If you're not familiar with the Dunbar effect, it says that we can maintain about 150 tight relationships. And so maybe that's, that's obviously not a set in stone number, but roughly speaking, a community that grows larger than 150 people is going to have multiple cliques within it. And that creates culture issue, which then creates staffing issues, which then create churn issues. What I mean by that is, as an example, and you guys have micro versions of this, right? We all do, but you have that one group that only works out with them and only with that trainer, right? Instead of having this large community where everybody's there for the same reason, everybody knows everybody, that tends to dwindle as you approach 150. You will build micro versions of mini communities within your community, and as soon as something goes sideways, they're all gone, right? So it's just a big, in my opinion, a big risk to go over this per location. And then the final Y150, and then we'll get into the different phases. There's 3 phases, is the idea that there's a term that I believe you should be very familiar with, which is called net owner benefit. Net owner benefit, NOB, is how much you personally generate from the business. That can include what you take as draws, that can include what you take as salaries, that can include your truck payment that you put on there, your cell phone bill. All of that combined together is considered net owner benefit. If you were not the owner of the company, somebody would receive that benefit, right? So as the owner, you take profit. As the owner, you probably take a salary. As the owner, you probably or should consider, I'm not a CPA, but should consider running some of your shared expenses, such as cell phone, vehicles, etc., through your company. That is considered net owner benefit. With a 150-person gym, you can have a net owner benefit of $200,000 at peak, right? So I'm pushing a 500K gym. You should be able to maintain 200 of that yourself. Now, this is, I'm going to hopefully build the bridge from what I'm talking about to where I know many of you are today. But we talk about, like, I know I grew up in an era where it was like a big deal to have a 6-figure salary. And I believe 200 is the new 100. Like, to make 100 grand nowadays, unfortunately, is just not, it does not take you as far, right? So I believe a gym owner with 500K top line should be able to benefit 200K. And we can build the profit margins, the staffing, and the structure in place to do that. So for those of you that are not there, we have to figure out why. And there's really 3 distinct phases that you go through as to why you're not there. Whether that be you already have 150 clients and you're not making 200K, that's a margin issue, or you're at 50 clients and you're sitting in 2,400 square feet. If you have 50 clients today sitting at 2,400 square feet, you are losing 100 times whatever your average client is worth every single month. So we have to figure out a way to get there as quickly as possible. So there are 3 distinct phases with this presentation. That's just some context as to why, right? There are 3 distinct phases going at a 50 client jump. So 0 to 50, 50 to 100, and then 100 to 150. If you are currently in phase 1, which is 0 to 50 clients, then, and you don't have the things built out that I'm about to talk about, well, that becomes your homework. If you have those things built out and you're in phase 2, then we focus on what's in phase 2. And et cetera. There may be a handful of you that are, I don't think anybody here is in phase 3, but many of you, if I know your business well enough, are in phase 2 and need to get to phase 3. And that's why you're not where you want to be, right? Okay, so things that need to be changed now, regardless of what phase you're in. And again, this is my opinion. I tend not to try to hurt any feelings, but I have like a lot of case studies at this point of, if you look at our boardroom group, and I use them as an example because they are all basically living their ideal business both in schedule and in monetary value. I cannot think of a single boardroom client that runs 2 models. What I mean by that is they run 2 different types of trainings, online and in person. In person small group and in person large group. None of them. They pick one model and they build their entire business around this. For some reason in the early stage of business, and I was there, trust me, we had all the different types of offerings. We think that more offerings equals more profit, or more offerings equals more clients. And the reality is, and this is a hard, like, I'm happy to unpack this in Q&A because many of you, I share this at every meeting. Many of you agree, and then we are still running 2 models. And I want to figure out why. Why? Like, there's no benefit of running 2 models until you're doing over $1 million a year. Zero. Zero benefit. So you pick the model that you want to run. There are 4 different models: one-on-one training, semi-private training, which is personalized programming, 3 or 4 people in a session, small group, which is 6 to 8 people, templated programming, progressed or regressed in the session, and large group training. For those of you online, that would be a 5th model. But for brick and mortar, those are your 4 models. You have to pick one. You have to. If you are running 2, you are now attracting 2 different types of avatars, which means 2 different types of messaging, 2 different types. You're basically running 2 marketing plays. You're hiring 2 different types of staff. The staff that wants to coach a large group versus the staff that likes to coach small group are 2 different types of trainers. You are now splitting yourself and literally, physically, mentally, emotionally, all doing Stretch Armstrong. And you will never scale. And I hate to word it like that, but I have yet to see it happen. So until somebody can say, hey, I'm making 200K and I run 2 models and I live my ideal life and have my ideal schedule, then I might diagnose that and figure out why. But generally, it is 1 model, 1 marketing message, 1 avatar, all the way up until you're at least at 500. If you're at 500 and you want to do this little add-on, we can talk there, but let's get you there first, okay? So 1 model. So what happens if you have multiple models right now and you're like, Doug, I get that, but I have 2 models right now and I have clients in both of them. Well, here's what you do. From between now and November, when we meet again, you slowly reduce the amount of sessions you have in that model, whatever model you want to cut. So the most common one is people have a large group offering and they want to go all in on either semi-private or small group. That's the most common we deal with. And all you do is you take all your large group sessions, you list them out, and you have them on a whiteboard, and every month you cancel them, 1 at a time. Just pick your lowest performer, chop it off. Next month, pick the next one, chop it off. And lo and behold, and of course everybody new doesn't even know you offer large group. Everybody new doesn't know about your other model. They just come right in on your main model. That's who you attract, that's what you build around, and what will happen is that second model will slowly die. It is not a shift that happens overnight. It is a shift that takes, in my experience, usually 4 to 6 months of just slowly cutting to the point where it's gone. So that is 1, regardless of what phase you're in. I personally think, like, whether it's hard or not, I personally think, and I'm, again, happy to help in Q&A about it, I personally think it's a decision that needs to be made and things that need to be acted on. And it's something that, regardless of all the marketing strategies we talk about, growth strategies we talk about, I don't think those are as effective until you isolate your model. The second thing, regardless of which phase you're at, is your pricing. So this is, again, an example of you can go have 150 clients. Like, we have clients that have 150 clients in their gym and don't make 200K a year. And that is 100% because they didn't price right. And again, been there. Had 300 clients and made like 60 grand a year. Not fun, right? Not fun. So the pricing is all built around making sure your ARM, your average revenue per member, can be as high as possible. For most of you, depending upon your model, you should at least be 250 to 300. If you're semi-private or below, you should be well north of that, 500 plus a month. And you're like, okay, cool, I'm at 200. How do I get there? Same thing, right? Take all your current people, bump them up a little bit, and then tomorrow, like, I have a Canva file of a price sheet that all of you can have. And by the time lunch is here, you could have a new price sheet with new pricing. So, like, changing your pricing for new people is about as easy as it comes. What we need to focus on is your current clients and slowly bumping those up. That's what takes the longest time. And that's not a quick fix. That's not a go and get, you know, a bump tomorrow. But your average revenue per member, do the math. Look at, okay, my average revenue per member is blank. Multiply times whatever my max client base is. You're going to be able to see how much your max revenue is. And you can answer yourself as you go through that. Here's how much I'm actually going to bet out of this. So for my small group folks, again, market dependent, but most small group gyms are 300 to 400 per month average. Some of my smaller markets, like us here in, not here, but in Maine, we were down closer to 250, creeping up. I believe our Kennebunk location's now like 275. But that was because we had years and years and years of low pricing, and then we just had to slowly work it up. So again, that's not like a fix that you do. I would say fix your new client pricing, but your current clients, you just relentlessly, like every 6 months, bump it up, bump it up, bump it up, bump it up, till they're above the average or at the average that you want to be at. The last thing before we get into the 3 phases is your membership options and your bill cycles. So I believe that most training gyms should have 3 types of memberships: your kind of economy based, your mid-tier, which is what you want to sell 80% of, and your high-tier kitchen sink. If you have more than 3 options, you are the equivalent of the Cheesecake Factory, and you will confuse the heck out of anybody that you sit with and talk to. So we want 3 membership options. The kitchen sink is everything you got, and that's used as an anchor. You don't really care to sell it. If somebody wants it, you're not going to say no. You got to be able to deliver on it, so don't put something in there. We have a client in Project 500. He listened to me, and he built out a kitchen sink membership, and he does sports performance, and he was at the consult with the parent and the kid, and the dad was like, I want that membership, and he wouldn't sell it to him because he built out this like high, I don't want to say high ticket, but relatively, you know, I think it was like a $500 option compared to his $200 or $300 option. But he was nervous that I think it included some one-on-ones and stuff like that, and he's like, I don't know what he ended up saying, but he was like afraid to sell it. So you got to be comfortable that like occasionally the rando is going to want to buy that kitchen sink, but that's purely just designed to anchor and to sell your mid option. So you have your mid option, which is what 80% of people want to buy. That's what 80% of people, that's what you want everybody going on. And then your lower option is your down sell. So I think, again, pricing wise, we're limiting ourselves if we only have 1 or 2 membership options, I believe. And then we are overwhelming if we have more than that. So we got to find that sweet spot where we can present at the table when we're meeting with somebody 3 membership options. Now, we may only recommend 1, i.e. the middle one, but now they can then choose to go up if they want or choose to go down. So model and pricing, before we get into the phases, I think everybody, all of us, need to do a hard evaluation on where we're at with those, okay?